This is breaking news from 2 News.
We begin with breaking news tonight. A live look at the scene on I-15 where a double tanker exploded.
Things just got really tense here on the University of Utah campuses. Police have started to basically swarm. They're searching for the shooter right now.
I was recording so I could see the house and the fire, and when he walked around is when he murdered that woman.
It's been nonstop. Troopers have just been going from one call to the next.
Snow making a mess of Utah's roads.
When I put on the brakes, it just started sliding.
This fire is creating its own weather system. On the other side of the hill, it's sunny and 95 degrees. But over here, underneath the plume of smoke, it is easily 10 to 15 degrees cooler.
We do have team coverage tonight of all the races.
Team coverage of today's funeral for you.
We do have team coverage for you tonight from northern Utah to southern Utah.
Did the city do enough?
We did what we thought we could do.
Are you doing more work than the previous mayor?
Turn off the camera.
As you can see, it has grown.
It's me. We're evacuating.
There are cabins, there are year-round homes, there are outbuildings and so forth.
It's everything she owns. It's her house. It's her life.
The fire tonight has crossed Highway 40. The good news, though, is it has not gone west of Current Creek. Now, you'll be able to see these flames are raging on the mountain just right at the Highway 40.
Pole Creek fire sitting at 54,000 acres this evening. The Bald Mountain fire at 14,000 acres.
I do want to give you a look at the latest evacuation, Jim. He's live in Duchesne County with the very latest on the new voluntary evacuations in that area tonight. Mark?
Thanks, Heidi. Yes, it's been a very busy day today and another frustrating one for firefighters.
Talking to the people out here, there is honestly a sense of hopelessness.
It's watching a dream go up in smoke.
The Dollar Ridge fire is, for now, invincible.
It's very difficult to have any impact at all on the fire.
A 30,000-acre behemoth that has chewed through dozens of homes.
A lot of fairly dramatic fire activity.
We watched as this line of fire marched down a hillside and leveled at least 2 cabins.
What do you think? This is remarkable.
This is just incredible.
Look, through the haze, you can see this A-frame fully engulfed.
It's difficult to watch a part of people's lives go up.
We come up and it's gone.
Now, the big thing about tomorrow is getting a handle on this fire somehow. We want to go to Sterling. He's keeping an eye on the winds and what they're going to be doing tomorrow and just how the firefighting effort might be able to improve, if at all.
Well, Mark, it is going to improve. In fact, I noticed right where you were standing, those weeds behind you there, they're barely moving, so the winds have calmed down.
We're at the LDS Church here in Fruitland, and Fruitland Community Action is an organization that is organizing all of this that you see behind me. A lot of people bringing donations, helping the people who live in this community.
And I thought for sure it was going to be gone.
It was left or right or straight or...
But today, with the help of our TV camera.
And we're just to the right of him just a little bit. There's a blue roof.
We got to show a family some good news.
Yep, that's it?
That's it.
So it's still there?
It's still there.
Instead of all bad.
There we go.
You see it?
Thank you.
He's been in office less than 2 months, but a new local mayor has already given himself a raise. It's a $15,000 raise, or about 10%. Brian Malahy on the story for us. Can he actually do this?
Well, the new mayor of Sandy here, Kurt Bradford, says he can, he did, and he's worth it.
So we determined that based on the hours worked and based on what the previous mayor was working, that a $15,000 raise would be in order.
New Sandy Mayor Kurt Bradburn doing some lobbying for his city at the Capitol.
I get to compensate my people based on within the confines of what the city council appropriates.
The mayor says he's hands-on, that he's cut staff, reduced the mayor's office budget, while giving himself and remaining aides raises. Are you doing more work than the previous mayor?
The first thing they asked me when I got in there after the election was, do you want an email address and would you like your office wired for a computer? So the short answer is yes, I believe I'm doing quite a bit more work.
I just think it's a horribly misguided way to start his term of office.
Kelly Cassidy supported former longtime Mayor Tom Dolan.
It seems like a really bad idea.
A city council member we contacted was not aware the mayor had upped his pay. Are you a little surprised that the mayor can give himself a raise without council action?
I am shocked, and I don't believe he can. I think that the council is going to be shocked.
I answer my own text messages. I do a lot of my own calendaring. I'm up here lobbying. I feel like I'm earning my salary.
So the mayor has gone from $147,000 a year to $162,000, and that is more than mayors earn in base salary in Salt Lake City and Ogden.
The mayor of Sandy is now apologizing for giving himself a $15,000 pay raise. 2 News broke the story, and now the mayor is returning money to the city and giving himself a pay cut.
This is breaking news from 2 News.
Just in the past 10 minutes, police have confirmed to 2 News that they have found someone shot.
This is said to be happening near the dorms.
And we want to go to Jeremy Harris right now live. You just got there, Jeremy, in the last few minutes.
Shauna, this is a very intense scene up here at the University of Utah. We want to explain to you, this is just to the south side of the South Tower. While we've been out here in the last 10 minutes, we're going to be careful about what we show you. We saw officers start running towards a car. They said that they had found a body inside of that car.
Back to that breaking news we just told you about a few moments ago at the top of the show about reports of shots fired at the University of Utah on campus.
Things just got really tense here on the University of Utah campuses. Police have started to basically swarm. They're searching for the shooter right now. They have now set up an expanded crime scene from when we first got here. We're being pushed back right now.
We're now going to go live to Brona Tumulty, who also just got to the campus. Brona.
We've seen Salt Lake City Police, UTA Police, University of Utah Police. They've all been either in this area or going up towards the hill. They're up past the dorms with their lights flashing.
According to police, they are looking for one person, one suspect. They say that that person is still on foot. We put it up on your screen again because this is important to get out.
This looks like an armored vehicle that's coming up to the campus right now.
Do you have a name on the suspect yet?
We do. It's Melvin Rowland.
He's listed on the Utah Sex Offender Registry. This mugshot is likely from when his arrest was. This was 2004, so likely somewhat dated. He is listed as a sex offender or a possible kidnapper.
This is right where one of his last known addresses was.
With all this information, did police do enough to protect her?
She was scared to death, is what it comes across to me.
Justin Boardman is reacting to the tragedy that happened here at the U of U, the murder of Lauren McCluskey, even after going to police possibly several times for help.
All those details, she was doing the right thing.
The question now becomes, did police do enough to protect Lauren?
Well, the shooter, no stranger to law enforcement. The 2 mugshots seen here span 14 years.
But just a few months later, his parole was revoked and he went back to prison. Then, in 2013, he was again let go on parole, which kept him out of prison for 3 years before another parole violation sent him back. Just this April, Rowland once again was released from the state prison.
And we will always, always love her.
Was abducted while we were talking to her on the telephone. So we heard her being assaulted.
Go ahead and get you over. University Police will probably take the case then.
I've talked to them already.
Lauren McCluskey pleading for help in the days before her death.
You already did talk to him and tell him about it?
I wasn't sure how long they were going to take.
Seemingly frustrated with campus police.
They haven't updated or done anything. So the case, it involves extortion.
The deal was those people would not give tickets to his employees. In exchange, they would get free pizza. Tonight, we're realizing that that could have cost the city thousands of dollars.
2 News.
It started 2 weeks ago with a call to KUTV.
Didn't like how I was being treated.
Jeff Clegg, a parking enforcement officer, says he was unfairly fired from the city for bringing up a culture of bullying at his workplace.
I was told, be a team player.
But we soon discovered there was more to Jeff's story. But you were uncomfortable, you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Jeff, after we pressed him, revealed the true reason for losing his job. An under-the-table scheme in which officers got freebies to not write tickets to the owner and employees of this restaurant.
How did it work? How was it set up?
If I see a menu of the restaurant in the lower right-hand corner of the vehicle, it's either a employee or one of the owner's vehicles, and we are not to cite those vehicles.
And in exchange,
we got to come in and hang out, get in and out of the weather, and he offered us free food.
Namely, free pizza. Jeff and 3 fellow parking enforcers took advantage of the deal so often they were on a first-name basis with pizza joint employees.
Then it got to the point where he said, just go in the back, get what you want. So the guys and we would go behind the counter and get our own pizza.
Jeff says he and his crew would only give warnings to Cecilia employees, and when a ticket did accidentally end up on a windshield, it was often voided.
That could have meant hundreds of tickets, perhaps, thousands of dollars in fines that were not Paid, right?
Correct.
So no deal.
No deal. Never happened to have a deal.
It obviously ended that alleged deal with Emerald.
In 1 week, I got twice a ticket. I said, does anything happen?
Who, according to documents, actually complained to the city when the deal came crashing down. So no deal?
No deal.
Documents reveal Emerald allegedly went to Schaefer herself, upset that his parking situation was over. Here are her handwritten notes where she says Emerald told her of that special relationship. So I've got documentation that says that you went down to compliance and complained about the parking tickets because of the deal.
Honest with you, I have nothing to do with anything.
We immediately went over to assist to help him get his belongings out of his house, and the fire was less than 100 yards from his house.
Team coverage on the scene in Moab.
As you can see, it's pretty much all gone.
Homes burned to the ground in the Cinema Court fire.
We can replace things, but we can't replace life.
Happening now, investigators trying to piece together what sparked the flames.
Whether it was accidental or intentional, we still need to find that out.
More wind, more heat, and dry conditions. High fire danger next.
Yeah, take a look. This is from Drone 2, the destruction left behind after that fire in Moab yesterday evening.
A whole neighborhood reduced to rubble. The fire we now know is human caused. The question becomes, was it on purpose?
Now, we've got team coverage in Moab for you tonight, and Sterling Polson, of course, tracking fire conditions all across the state.
First, we want to go to Brona Tumulty. She's live with the very latest on the fire investigation. Brona?
Well, Margaret, here is what is left after that fire. Lots of charred vegetation everywhere.
So my gold truck is burning up. They're finally getting some water on it.
New video tonight showing just how powerful this wildfire was.
Thank you, God. Everybody's still alive.
Sherry Court lives right next to where it's believed to have started.
It's Cinema Court Apartments.
She and the other residents all evacuated last night.
We were in the house watching cartoons and playing with our Legos, and all of a sudden we heard lots of noise outside.
Amazingly, their homes untouched.
It took too many homes.
Their neighbors, though, not so lucky.
Unfortunately, the fire shifted to the west, and that's when it started taking out those homes over there.
We're actually starting to see some of the residents coming out this morning, surveying some of the damage. We're going to go ahead and take a look right now. As you can see, some of this devastation. So whatever happened here, whatever sparked this fire, whoever sparked it was in violation of that restriction.
The president at the MTC admitted to some shocking activities.
Yeah, the story of a former missionary training center president, Joseph Bishop, broke on Monday when Mormon Leaks published audio tapes of the bishop apparently acknowledging some inappropriate activity.
Chris Jones dug into this, and how did we get this element of the story, Chris?
Well, guys, we had reached out to the BYU Police Department to find out what they knew about this case, and this is what we got. A totally redacted police report with no information. So we pushed back at 2 News, and today they responded by giving us a document that at least answers some questions. Bishop, now 85, tells investigators that he did interact with a woman while she was at the MTC, telling investigators, quote, that he did go to the small MTC preparation room in the cafeteria area with the victim. Then, while talking to her, he asked her to show him her breast, which he did. The woman's story is wildly different. She tells police that 34 years ago, Bishop raped her. The police report says, quote, he tried to kiss her. She resisted, and he ripped her blouse open, pushed her onto the bed, ripped her skirt, and pulled down her pantyhose and garments. Then said sexual intercourse occurred without her consent.
Tonight, new information involving the woman who says a former missionary training center president abused her.
She claims it happened at the MTC when she was in training there. The woman's former LDS bishop says she told him about the incident more than 3 decades ago. What did the former bishop do with this pretty volatile information?
Well, nothing. The former bishop told us today that the woman, in his opinion, had always been neurotic, so he did not go to the LDS church and he did not report it to police. So you recall this young lady coming to you?
Oh, heavens, yes.
Former LDS Bishop Ron Levitt was the woman's singles ward president in the mid-'80s. He says she came to him during that time and told him that then MTC President Joseph Bishop was inappropriate with her.
According to her, he took, and I think maybe one other sister missionary, down to the basement and showed them some pornography.
What was your reaction when she told you that?
Doubt. She tended to embellish experiences.
Levitt is the first corroborating witness we've heard from since these explosive allegations were reported by Mormon leaks on Monday. Despite what the woman told him, Levitt did not tell anyone about her story. Did you pass along this information to the church or police or anything like that?
He tried to kiss me and I pushed him off, and I was like, oh my God, here's this old man. I'm 21 years old.
For the very first time, we hear from the woman at the center of the MTC abuse scandal.
The woman we spoke to, who we're not going to identify, says this is about shifting the church. She says over the years, she has told at least 10 church leaders about what allegedly happened to her. She says nothing was done. She says coming out now is about making change to this church.
I was nervous and uncomfortable, and I should have listened to that feeling.
New tonight, 2 News has obtained a document that reveals how the LDS Church responds to some allegations.
This is the letter. It is written by attorneys on behalf of the LDS Church. It is an extensive dossier. It includes the woman's criminal record. It includes allegations that she may have made in the past. And it also includes her history of church discipline. And in the days after this story broke, this letter ended up in the hands of the media. On March 20th, as a sexual assault scandal was exploding around former MTC President Joseph Bishop, his son and attorney Greg Bishop sent 2 News unprompted an email. In it, he unspools a 5-page dossier about the past of the woman who's accused his father of rape. The email includes the woman's criminal record, alleged false allegations she's made, and jobs she's lost. It even includes details about an incident that occurred when she was 17 years old. In his email, Bishop encourages reporters to examine the woman's past, adding, quote, consider the source. When we first received this email here at the station, I remember wondering how in the world did a compliance officer with a local electronics company manage to get this much detail, this much information? Well, tonight we know. In the last 2 days, I've uncovered this letter. It was written by a lawyer with the firm Stoll Reeves, acting on behalf of the LDS Church. The document includes everything we saw in Bishop's email, plus a review of the woman's ecclesiastical church record. At the bottom, the lawyer indicates that he sent the letter on to Greg Bishop, who it appears took portions of the letter and at times repeated allegations word for word and sent it on to the media.
It's par for the course that we see in so many defense strategies.
But Turner Bitton with the Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault says even if the church didn't put out the letter, the methods used in it are intended to silence accusers. Now, we reached out to Greg Bishop on multiple occasions to get comment from him. He did not have comments for us.
As the sun sets, search and rescue teams are wrapping up a day of intense work on off-road trails in Twilla. It's where 2 teens may have vanished 6 days ago. Jeremy Harris live in Twilla with the search for Riley Powell and Breezy Otteson. Jeremy, what's the latest?
Yeah, well, Shauna, I just checked with the Juab County Sheriff's Office. No update from the search today. Really, all we know is that these 2 teens left Tooele heading south last Saturday. From there, no sign of them. This could be their 6th night in the cold if they are stranded on an off-road trail.
You're welcome to go somewhere else or call it a day.
Brett Davis spent the day coordinating a small army of volunteers who were searching the remote backcountry of Juab County.
17-year-old Breezy Otteson and 18-year-old Riley Powell have been missing now for 12 days, a grueling 12 days for this family.
Authorities are now saying foul play is strongly suspected in the disappearance of 2 Twilla teenagers.
This is day 17 of them missing, and it's just a matter of, we just want the answers.
Well, somewhere in Utah's West Desert, 2 teenagers vanished without a trace just before New Year's Eve.
What happened to Breezy Otteson and Riley Powell? Well, that question has volunteers now going 1,000 feet under the surface of the earth in hopes of finding out.
We started searching down over in Eureka area, and we started coming along a lot of these shaft mines.
We were dropping 1,100, 1,200 feet down a mine shaft to try to locate their bodies.
This is breaking news from 2 News.
Good afternoon. We interrupt your programming for some breaking news that's coming out of Juab County. Any minute now, multiple agencies are giving an update on the search going on in a mine just miles outside of Eureka.
We've identified a couple of individuals that were in a mine shaft. We have recovered those bodies. It appears preliminarily that it may be Riley Powell and Breezy Otteson. However, positive identification needs to be made by the medical examiner's office.
Right now, a look from the sky of the scene where crews just finished recovering the second body found in that mine.
Yeah, 2 bodies found in Utah County believed to be those of the 2 missing teens from Tooele.
It's the closure, I guess. We needed that. The families are now focused on justice.
This has been our life for the last 3 months. We've been searching every weekend for the last 3 months. And now, obviously, it's the justice.
We do have team coverage for you tonight on the arrest of 41-year-old Jared Baum.
Yeah, Rayanne Christensen looking into Baum's criminal history for us tonight. First, though, we want to go to Dan Rascone, who just heard from the family. Dan, what are they saying about all this today?
Yeah, the big question that they're asking right now is why? Why would someone want to do something like this?
In the process of trying to clean up her neighborhood, she began reporting crimes to the police, but that has made the criminals mad. Criminals who she says are now threatening to kill her. She wants to move, but the city says no. She's trapped in her neighborhood.
I'm worried for my personal safety. I leave the lights on all night inside the home.
Sue feels threatened inside her own home.
232 stack mine on being out.
A 6-year resident in Salt Lake City's neighborhood development program.
I love living in a diverse area.
A program that gets low-income folks into housing.
And I know this area is going to grow.
Sue today is so fearful, we have to protect her identity. It all started when she started seeing suspicious activity a few doors down.
It escalated into the residents of the home coming out and openly selling packs of meth and heroin.
So Sue contacted the cops.
I would report all the incidences to them through email.
And after a few months, arrests were made and people went to jail. But when they were released, Sue was identified as the whistleblower, and now she's a target.
Telling me to watch my back, making the handgun gesture at me whenever I was cleaning my yard or tending to my garden.
So you might be wondering, why not just sell the home and move?
Program manager wrote that if I sold the home, it would be in violation of the 15 years.
That's right. To get the loan through the city program, Sue had to agree to live in the place for at least 15 years. She tried to explain to managers this is an extraordinary situation. Her life is at risk. Salt Lake City told her, tough. That disappointing news came in this letter. Salt Lake City voted against your request. Seems to me like you would have been better off never calling the police in the first place.
I would have been much better off.
Stuck in a dangerous situation without a fair way out, Sue asked me to investigate. We began our investigation by reaching out to Salt Lake City, who told us, unfortunately, their hands are completely tied. They said this housing program is a HUD program administered by the feds, and there's absolutely nothing the city can do to help Sue out. Really. When we reached out to HUD, a spokesperson told us they were surprised to hear about any of this, writing, quote, Salt Lake City did not consult HUD on this case. What's more, HUD says it's in fact Salt Lake City that controls how to administer the program. And where Salt Lake City had told us their hands were tied because of HUD rules, HUD says no. In fact, they're eager to try and help find solutions. In fact, now, after our calls, HUD is, quote, reviewing the case to make recommendations to the city about options. So we again turned to Salt Lake City.
But it's not something we take lightly.
And the Director of Housing and Neighborhood Development, Melissa Jensen. Did the city do enough?
I think that's a really difficult question. Enough, I think we did what we thought we could do, and was that enough for her to feel safe in her home? No. And so that weighs on us heavily.
Jensen claims that if the city breaks HUD's rules, HUD could take away funding from the whole housing program, which would be bad for a whole lot of people. But according to the contract, the official penalty for letting Sue out is, at worst, a fine. It seemed to me like the city was putting money over a person's safety. Is that the case?
I don't think that's the case per se. I think that we are very, very, I would say, reserved in reading the regulations.
Jensen also admitted that the city never reached out to HUD to ask about Sue's case. They just assumed HUD would say that Sue is stuck.
When things like this come along, I think it's okay to say, we do really good, but we're going to try to do better.
You feel threatened?
Very threatened.
And just like that, some good news for Sue. She can now sell her home, keep the equity, and use it to buy a new one in a safer place.
West Valley Police now confirming that one person has been killed here. There were shots fired. Police are interviewing a number of people. Perhaps one of them is a suspect.
Tonight's cell video of this entire incident. You're only going to see it here on 2 News. One witness started recording before the city worker was actually shot and killed.
You see these videos and you're like, why are these people filming? Why aren't they helping? And I couldn't help.
Britton Keene says he immediately started recording when he came across the truck on fire. He never expected what came next.
I can't really put into words how horrible that was to see.
Keene's camera caught a man in a blue shirt leave his house.
This man casually walks up. I see him put his hand up. He goes behind the flames and then bang.
With his cell phone still rolling, Keene says he never expected to be witness to a homicide.
I looked over and the woman's face down in a pool of blood.
Just prior to 10 o'clock last night, Officer David Murrow passed away.
Fighting back tears, the South Salt Lake Police Department mourning the loss of an officer killed in the line of duty. 2 News has learned the suspect who has caused all of this has had run-ins with the law before and was involved in a previous deadly accident.
Times like this, you see that much of a turnout and support come from all over the U.S.
It was a hero's welcome home. A somber salute to a fallen brother.
He was so kind. He was a very kind person.
Our hearts are aching with your parting from this earth. It is so unbelievably hard to admit that you were gone from this world.
He was a great soldier, honoring the life of Major and Mayor Brent Taylor, killed 2 weeks ago in Afghanistan.
Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
It's a cliche, but it's true. It isn't free.
The wife of Major Brent Taylor, preparing for the hardest goodbye of her life.
I have been thinking long and hard, what message will I share with my children? And that's the message. Freedom isn't free, but it's worth the price.
Welcome to 2 News this morning. A live look outside. Take a look at those roads. They are snow covered this morning.
Just be prepared. This is a statewide storm. We're seeing snow in southern Utah. We're seeing snow in northern Utah.
We have a half a dozen accidents out there, so let me tell you about just a couple.
Chase, we're in Salt Lake County right now, and the name of the game this morning is to take it slow. We're going about 40 miles an hour, and we're braking right now.
Troopers tell us that just about an hour ago, they had to shut down these lanes after a few slide-offs caused a 9-car pileup.
It's been nonstop. Troopers have just been going from one call to the next.
Snow making a mess of Utah's roads.
When I put on the brakes, it just started sliding.
Hundreds of cars have crashed and flights delayed.
I mean, it was scary.
We're tracking the storm, the roads, and the runways. Mother Nature was not holding back the last 12 hours. Tonight we do have team coverage for you from northern Utah to southern Utah, how the snow is impacting your commute and your travel plans.
So we'll put this into motion. You can see those snow levels will be lowering on Thursday down to about 5,500 feet. That means some of our benches could see a little accumulating snow. And
this is where a major accident happened out here just earlier today.
We've got a 2-car accident.
It would happen just that quick.
And a 9-car accident.
It just plows in the back of both of us.
And then I got hit from behind.
And all the people on scene ended up running for their lives.
I only understand that it impacted us like a bomb going off.
Catherine Voute is one of 7 Harriman High School mothers to lose their children during a cluster of suicides in the summer of 2017.
It's a loss to the entire world and community that these other children are taking their lives without understanding what is going on.
And on May 3rd, she begged the Utah State School Board to provide more resources to prevent the needless loss of life.
There's something going on, and you all have the ability to make a difference.
But then just moments later,
where are the communities of pastors and preachers and religious
organizations.
And with Voutey still in the room, the board member who represents her suggested that the complex issue of suicide could be blamed on two things: a lack of religion and parents, like Catherine Voutey.
Where are the organizations of parents who need to step up and accept accountability and responsibility?
It was yet another in a long line of controversial comments and votes from District 11 board member Lisa Cummins.
We are overworking our children.
Because of contentious stands like this,
This battle that I am fighting is a battle of the souls of these children.
and comments like these to the Utah State Board before she was even a member,
The elite of this country have commingled with the communistic-like leadership.
Beyond the Books, KUTV's commitment to investigate educational issues that affect you, decided to investigate Cummins' record, including board meetings and her social media activity.
I also declare that if you insist on collecting data from my children, you had better bring a warrant.
While on the board, Cummins applauds teaching truth.
I just think we have a responsibility to teach truth.
But some of her posts on social media say otherwise. Here's a post of an article that suggests liberals are trying to make child molesting okay, and yet another that argues that vaccinations are a form of population control.
The disinformation, the half-truths that she's sharing.
Katie Matheson with the political watchdog group Alliance for a Better Utah says Cummins' posts are alarming.
Before she shares something, research it.
Let's get him clear.
During our investigation, we also reviewed nearly 40 separate meetings over 2 years that Cummins has attended as a board member. Based on her record, we found that Cummins risks millions in federal funding, wastes valuable meeting time, and is so fearful of so-called data mining by the government that some say she is willing to put Utah students at risk.
I don't know, I'm not comfortable.
Case in point, while the state was trying to get its arms around the burgeoning suicide epidemic,
So this is a huge concern for me.
Cummins was questioning the Safe Utah app, the smartphone tip line created to allow Utah students to report violence and suicide threats in their schools. She feared it would allow the government to track the students.
So it doesn't have a locator tracking system on it, just so it doesn't track their location from their phone. Not.
Even though she was assured the data was safe,
There have been actually tips on school attacks.
and suicides had been prevented because of the app.
It's not only saving lives, but being able to save what's going on in the school.
Cummins
So I'm going to vote no on this.
voted against a $70,000 appropriation that was needed to keep the app up and running during an unexpected redesign.
Those opposed? I see one opposed, board member Lisa Cummins.
Cummins was the sole member to vote against the money, and had she gotten her way, the Safe Utah app would have gone dark, at least temporarily.
We have a significant opportunity here to lead the nation.
In this meeting, Cummins suggests that the state should ignore federal testing requirements, a move that, if adopted, could have put $123 million in federal funding at risk, money that goes directly to poor Utah kids.
We have the courage to fund that, to fund what's missing, put our money where our mouth is.
A stand that drew the ire of fellow board member Kathleen Reeby.
Playing chicken with $100 million when these students, who have the least amount of advocates for them, are the ones that are losing the most.
Could you just give me some more clarity?
We also spoke with 6 people who work closely with Cummins on the board who agreed to speak to us anonymously. They tell us Cummins doesn't understand some of the very basics of education management.
I mean, because to me, this looks like an expansion of government.
And they say she wastes valuable time giving political speeches, slowing the board that is supposed to work for students and parents.
Hi, Lisa. My name is Chris Jones. I'm a reporter with 2 News.
We wanted to talk to Cummins, and she did agree to a sit-down interview, then canceled. First, she said it was because she needed to register her son in high school, but later told us it was because she'd been told not to talk to the press. We grew concerned we wouldn't get another chance to clarify her views.
Hello. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Chris Jones from Channel 2.
Oh, came to my house.
Yeah, can we talk to you?
So we asked to talk to her face-to-face.
We have time now. I mean, it looks like you're available. I mean, we feel like it's important to give you an opportunity.
She didn't want to speak on this day, but did reschedule on the spot.
I have the 15th.
Only to cancel days later.
On the 15th.
I've been advised not to talk with you, though.
Cummins then demanded we submit a list of questions, which we did. 2 days later, she requested the names of the people who had talked to us for our story, but she did not provide any answers.
I would like to see what they come out with.
On the board, Cummins demands a lot of answers.
Well, I'm telling you what they're saying.
But is less willing to give them when the tables are turned.
Turn off the camera.
This is breaking news from 2 News.
We are so grateful that Salt Lake City and this state of Utah was chosen by America to represent us in a potential future bid.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Salt Lake City is named the U.S. contender for a potential 2030 Olympic bid.
And Christensen's also up here in Park City, but we want to start with Jeremy because there's some challenges we have to surmount before we actually get to the games. Jeremy?
The safety of kids at school is a topic on every parent's mind. And one idea?
I think they should be packing.
Are more teachers with guns.
Yeah, I think they should be able to have them.
According to state law, teachers and administrators can legally carry a concealed weapon inside of a school, but it has to be hidden and in their possession.
Thanks for joining us tonight for a school safety roundtable. Raise of hands, do you think it's a good idea for you or anyone else in your school to be armed if you're trained? Anyone who thinks it's a good idea?
When you're teaching a class, you have so many things that you're worried about. You're worried about, okay, am I presenting this content correctly? Are the students learning what I'm teaching them? You know, if someone walks in your classroom, who is it? Why are they there?
Right now, students across the country and here in Utah are walking out of class. It's a nationwide call for action on gun safety and school violence. We have 2 news crews across the Wasatch Front covering this for you, where students are now leaving their classrooms for 17 minutes. 1 minute for every life lost at last month's mass school shooting in Florida.
We are tracking schools in Utah that are starting that walkout.
We're going to get a look right now. They have started filtering in here onto the football field.
If you take a look behind me, you notice a lot of them holding the signs, wearing orange or black in solidarity.
1 minute for every life lost at last month's mass shooting in Florida.
If a debt collector can buy up debt for pennies on the dollar, why can't you and I? The answer is, as we are found, you can, and more to the point, we did, with the help of a very unique nonprofit company that's making medical debt disappear.
RIP is a charity.
To hear Craig Antico talk about it?
Pure charity.
It sounds too good to be true. They take medical debt, a debt that 1 in 5 Americans suffers with, and they kill it.
We put it into our debt cemetery.
How does he do it? Well, in his previous life, Craig worked for 30 years as a debt collector. It was his job to call people and badger them into paying.
And I never really liked it that much, honestly.
But over the years, Craig learned a secret. Bill collectors often buy up debt for pennies on the dollar. Craig still goes out and buys up debt for super cheap, but now he does so for what he calls a social profit.
It actually uses everything I used to do, but I just have a lot more fun and I get a lot more satisfaction out of it.
Since 2014, Craig and his team have paid off more than $100 million in debt. They get the money to do so from donations.
So with that, I wrote a check. And I sent it to New York, care of RIP Medical Debt, with the instruction: let's pay off as much as we possibly can for people here in Utah. What they were able to do left us stunned.
For $12,500, we were able to buy up some of the medical debt for 555 people. And we paid off $1,427,692.29.
They are now relieved of a burden that they had, and it's due to you and to your viewers because they can actually donate themselves if they go to your website.
Yeah, that's right. If you think this is pretty cool as we do, you can help us keep it going. Head on over to KUTV.com and you'll see a place there where you can donate. Every single penny goes to RIP Medical Debt, and together the $1.4 million we were able to pay off will just be the start. For every dollar they raise, they're able to pay about $100 in medical debt.
Breaking from the Dollar Ridge fire tonight, a bold move by Governor Herbert. More evacuations issued. We've got team coverage for you.
We are there side by side with families as they watch their dream cabins go up in smoke.
Red flag warnings extended. I'll show you when the winds do die down and when the temperatures rise.
I want to be like my daddy.
They leave their homes and loved ones to protect yours. Why fighting wildfires isn't just from the front lines. Thanks for joining us tonight. It is day 3 of the Dollar Ridge fire, and there is no end in sight for firefighters on the mountains. Meanwhile, a new move from Governor Herbert to try and stop even more fires from burning. In just the last hour, Governor Herbert issued an executive order. He is declaring a state of emergency for the entire state of Utah for wildland fire management. This is in effect the entire month of July. Now, meanwhile, we do want to give you a look at the latest evacuation zone. This is what you can see right here. This is the Dollar Ridge fire and the area that's been evacuated at this point. Fire officials want you to take these evacuation orders seriously. They say if you violate them, you could face up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. Tonight, we do have team coverage on this fire. Sterling Paulson is tracking the weather conditions that are making these fights for the firefighters difficult. Chris Jones talking to people that lost their homes. First, though, we go to Mark Cabell. He's live in Duchesne County with the very latest on the new voluntary evacuations in that area tonight. Mark?
Thanks, Heidi. Yes, it's been a very busy day today and another frustrating one for firefighters. Now, Wasatch Sheriff's Office today asking Utah Emergency Management to put in some voluntary evacuations. Now, we have those areas for you on a map. Take a look. It's the Pine Hollow area, Aspen Grove, the 40 Dam Acre area located east and south of Soldier Creek Dam. Now, residents and people who are camping in that area or who have campers are being told that in case these become mandatory evacuations, they should be prepared to leave at a moment's notice. Now, the very latest on the fire tonight. We bring you up to date. More than 30,000 acres plus burned, no containment. Now, we're 3 days into this firefight right now, and firefighters have not been able to make a dent in this fire. Fire officials say there was increased fire activity today. With that increased fire activity and the winds, they're afraid that more structures have gone up in flames in this fire. Now, some good news about tomorrow. Water scoopers are being brought in. Those actually pick up water from lakes and drop it on the fire. We're also going to have an aerial attack. We're going to have planes in the area dropping retardant tomorrow, and we're also going to have some bulldozers that are going to try to make some fire lines around some parts of the fire. So that's the very latest on the fire. Now, we talked about the possibility of more structures burning today because of the increased fire activity and the winds. Chris Jones has been keeping an eye on that tonight. Chris was able to talk with fire officials, and he's been kind of driving around talking with some people that have lost their homes. Chris?
Well, Mark, I got to tell you, talking to the people out here, there is honestly a sense of hopelessness today. That is because this fire has been so erratic. That means they haven't been able to put as much aircraft into the sky. They haven't been able to get many fire crews close to the fire. And that means that many of the people who are staying here at this LDS church have lost their dreams as the hillside has burned up.
It's watching a dream go up in smoke.
The Dollar Ridge fire is, for now, invincible.
It's very difficult to have any impact at all on the fire.
A 30,000-acre behemoth that has chewed through dozens of homes.
A lot of fairly dramatic fire activity.
We watched as this line of fire marched down a hillside and leveled at least 2 cabins.
What do you think? This is remarkable.
This is just incredible.
Look, through the haze, you can see this A-frame fully engulfed.
It's difficult to watch a part of people's lives go up.
I come up and it's gone.
Gloria Dearden's cabin is one of those. This morning she felt that her place had dodged the fire. But then this swirling, unpredictable mess turned and swallowed up her retreat.
It's hard. Your little space, your little sanctuary from the real world, and it's gone.
We built it in 1999.
This is Carolyn Davis's cabin. She's pretty certain it'll be gone by nightfall.
We had it for 19 years. We have lots of memories, and those can never go away.
Tonight, there were some small victories. These firefighting pilots dropped water directly on a cabin in harm's way. Perhaps it will survive.
It does not look good. It doesn't look good at all.
But that is little consolation for a community who feels all they can do is sit and watch helplessly.
It's sad. It's sad.
And to give you an idea of how difficult this fire has been, usually at this stage in the game, fire crews have a pretty good idea about how big the fire is. Because of the size of this fire, they're not able to get an exact read on exactly how many acres the fire is. They're also not able to get a read on how many structures have gone up in flames. All they can tell us at this hour is that Dozens of homes have been destroyed. Guys, back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks. Our hearts go out to those people tonight. Still a lot of people in fear that they could lose their homes. Well, tonight, Duchesne High School was filled with volunteers. They were handing out supplies, cooking chicken, handing out bottles of water. Volunteers have been manning the grills there, making sure that nobody goes hungry. Red Cross officials also saying they currently don't need any more volunteers at this time because the response has been overwhelming.
Either you know somebody or you know their wife or you know their husband. We're all related one way or another, so we're all friends.
Yep, all friends and all family pitching in, helping each other in the small town of Duchesne today. The Red Cross does want those who have been evacuated to go down to Duchesne High School and actually register with them. Sign up, because once they have your name and your information, they can check on you in the future just in case they need to provide you with any services. Now, the big thing about tomorrow is getting a handle on this fire somehow. We want to go to Sterling. He's keeping an eye on the winds and what they're going to be doing tomorrow and just how the firefighting effort might be able to improve, if at all.
Well, Mark, it is going to improve. In fact, I noticed right where you were standing, those weeds behind you there, they're barely moving. So the winds have calmed down considerably across this region. Of course, in the fire area, the fire makes its own wind, but the general winds, the wind patterns are going to relax a little bit over the next couple of days. And you can see tonight we've got low wind speeds, less than 10 miles an hour across that region. So temperature change, yes, we've got about a 5-degree temperature change in Provo. You can see the temperatures are cooler off to the northwest, Price 4 degrees cooler. So the temperatures have cooled down a little bit, the winds have died down a little bit, and we're going to continue to see that trend for another 12 hours as far as the temperature staying pretty steady, the winds dying down, and it looks like we will continue to see improving weather conditions as far as firefighting. But the fire weather warning now covers most of the state except the far eastern part of the state where it has been taken down. We'll have more about your weekend coming up and the 4th of July forecast in my forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Sterling. Stay with KUTV as we follow all of these wildfires burning across the state. We'll have another live update for you from here in Duchesne County coming up in less than 10 minutes here on 2 News at 10. The latest updates and for all the new information, you can always go to our website, KUTV.com.
Well, firefighters are off battling fires all around the state. We wanted to pause for a moment to remember the families that they're leaving behind to help protect others. Brona Tumulty sat down tonight with the wife of a Heber City firefighter who's all too familiar with hoping and praying the father of her 2 little boys will be back home safe. Brona?
Yeah, Heidi, he is currently running on very little sleep. He's helping to fight the Dollar Ridge fire, and while he is able to get home at night, that sometimes isn't happening until 2 in the morning. He's up again at 4 a.m. to do it all over again.
Warren Abraham is just 6 years old.
I'm going to graduate to 1st grade.
But knows exactly what he wants to be.
I want to be a forester.
When he grows up.
I want to be like my daddy.
His daddy is PJ Abraham.
Be area forester for the state of Utah.
And he can't be home with these guys.
Right now they're on the Dollar Ridge fire.
Because wildfire season is underway.
He sent me a message and he's like, hey, I'm leaving.
Sally, his wife.
It's the reality that we deal with.
Knows all too well.
You just keep your chin up and keep going.
The worry that he won't return.
We have a rule in our household that he has to kiss me awake when he gets home.
When he leaves his loved ones to protect yours.
I get a lot of questions about where Dad is at and what he's up to.
And while the holiday tomorrow,
it's 4th of July,
may offer some relief.
Hopefully releasing him because we need our local firefighters available.
And some much needed dad time.
It would mean a lot. I'll tell him he's a great guy and I love him.
The fear is always there that the next blaze is just a firework away.
Some poor firefighter's wife is going to be waking up to the awful sound of that pager and they don't know if that husband's going to be coming back.
Now, PJ will be helping to battle fires through wildfire season, and when that is over, he has a number of other duties to carry out, including educating property owners about how to protect their lands from wildfire. Send it back to you guys.
All right, good insight for all of us, Brona. There are new fire restrictions now in effect in Summit County. Fireworks are now banned in that county except for professional fireworks shows. Open burns, cigarette smoking, and welding are also restricted. For the very latest fire restrictions in your area, go to KUTV.com. Well, tonight we are learning details about the man that drowned in the Provo River today. Jeremy Harris was there when the water rescue team recovered his body. Jeremy, do we know anything about the victim tonight?
Well, what we know, Heidi, is that he is from Florida and that he did have a life jacket on before he got into the river today. Sheriff's officials say that the current was so strong it actually ripped that life vest from him. They say it shows how dangerous the water can be right now.
Provo Canyon, where the train crosses over the Provo River.
Emergency crews raced to the Provo River.
They witnessed a kayak come out without him.
Knowing a kayaker was under the water.
Down where all the tubes usually crash.
Shortly after they got here,
we've got him under.
They found the man's body underneath this railroad crossing near the Utah-Wasatch County line.
The current, the strength of the water kept him under one of the trestles of the bridge.
After an hour, the crews recovered the body from the water. Sheriff's officials say the man was on the river with his family who was on vacation. He was wearing a life vest.
These folks did a lot of things that were right.
But the vest was no match for the ripping current.
It's bumping pretty good. This is a summer flow.
Sloan Kettering is a fishing guide who says this spot is a dangerous one.
3 or 4 years ago, someone did the same thing, and I was actually guiding right there and had to jump in and grab a kid.
River guides tell kayakers to get out of the water before the bridge and then get back in on the other side. Witness accounts say the man tried to do just that.
These folks did as much as they could that was correct.
But even with those precautions, the holiday trip to the river ended in tragedy.
I hate to hear that anyone would ever drown on this river since it's, my home water.
Sheriff's officials tell me that the family also had taken with them other people who were familiar with the river. So they say really they did everything right. Unfortunately, though, that particular spot is a rough one, and those hikers or anybody on that river is suggested to get out and get back in. Tonight, his name has not been released. Sheriff's officials say that may come out tomorrow. Back to you.
Well, the battle will intensify tomorrow to fight the Dollar Ridge fire. There are reinforcements coming. We'll tell you who they are and when they get here.
Summer gas prices means a higher price at the pump for all of us. How much it's costing you over the 4th of July holiday.
Well, did you know that there's been an accident on the vehicle? And I thought, no, there's no way.
When you buy a used car, how do you check to see if it's been in an accident? One woman says she got a report on her car, but it was wrong. What Matt Gephardt found out when we get back.
Just wanted to give you a recap of what we can expect tomorrow when firefighting efforts kick back up in the morning. There are going to be some positive aspects tomorrow. Sterling says the winds are not going to be quite as high as they were yesterday. That should help firefighters in the firefighting effort. There'll be water drops. We already saw them dropping retardant here today earlier. They'll be back tomorrow, but also they'll be scooping up water from those lakes. They call those scoopers. They'll be dropping that water on the fire as well. Some bulldozers will be coming in the morning. They'll be on standby. When they can get up closer to the fire, they'll try to make some fire lines and try to stop that fire from spreading. That's all expected to happen tomorrow. One last thing, if you have been evacuated and evacuations have been increasing throughout the day, please go to Duchesne High School and sign in with the Red Cross so they have your information. Don't forget our continuing coverage. We're going to watch this fire overnight. We'll have all the very latest for you on our website, KUTV.com. But don't forget the morning team. They'll be with you bright and early beginning at 4:25.
Mark, thanks. Summer is in full swing, and that means gas prices are high. The national average price for a gallon of unleaded, it's about $2.86. AAA reporting that about 63 cents higher than it was a year ago. Higher oil prices could be to blame here. Gas Buddy says the price spike since last year is likely to cause motorists about $1 billion in extra gas spending over the usual 4-day travel period. When you go to buy a used car, the question is, how do you know the car you're getting has never been in an accident? Many dealers will give you a car history report to put your mind at ease, but what happens if that report is wrong? A Heber City woman said that's what happened to her, and she decided it was time to get Gephardt.
When Mandy Hess bought this used SUV several years ago, it came with peace of mind that it had never been in a wreck.
Auto checks, it says that it's never been in an accident, so we thought, we're good.
But when Mandy tried to sell the car 3 years later, shock.
It in and they said, well, did you know that there's been an accident on the vehicle? And we thought, no, there's no way.
But sure enough, take a look. The Carfax report shows that the SUV had been in a wreck back in September of 2013. That's long before Mandy bought the car. And it's a wreck that is clearly missing from the AutoCheck vehicle history report.
The AutoCheck, we got a current one and it still says it's been in no accident, but Carfax says it has.
Frustrated and now out thousands of dollars in resale value, Mandy decided it was time to call me. Nobody from AutoCheck wanted to talk about this on camera, but in a statement wrote, quote, AutoCheck receives its accident data from government sources and independent agencies. And they say whoever reported the accident to Carfax, quote, did not report it to us.
They're not always 100% accurate.
I took Mandy's issue to Consumer Reports auto writer Mike Quincy, who says, keep in mind, there are lots of car repairs that will never show up on a vehicle history report. For example, if somebody gets in a small wreck and decides to do the repair themselves, maybe leave insurance out of it, that wouldn't show up on a report. Also, not all mechanics and body shops will report the repairs that they make. Plus, there's always, of course, human error.
I mean, honestly, it's only as accurate as the person keying in the information in all of their databases and their electronic forms.
So how do you protect yourself?
Ask the owner of the car to allow you to take it to your mechanic so they can put it up on the lifters and look underneath.
AutoCheck agrees, writing, quote, it has long been our philosophy that vehicle history reports should only be one step in the pre-owned vehicle purchasing process. Adding shoppers should, quote, physically inspect the vehicle using a licensed mechanic.
I feel like I've been taken advantage of.
It's good advice that's now too late for Mandy. She is stuck with a vehicle she'd rather not have and missing the trade-in value that she needs in order to get another one. And you know, it's not just AutoCheck and Carfax that do these types of reports. According to the Motor Vehicle Title Information System, there are lots of companies that will sell them to you. But as you just learned, no one report guaranteed to be better than another. If you've got something you want me to investigate, give me a call. My number, 801-839-1250, or you can email me, gephardt@kutv.tv.
Time now to talk about the all-important holiday forecast. We go into this holiday in fireworks, Sterling, as we're talking about the governor putting us under a state of emergency.
Yeah, and the winds today gusting quite a bit. Check it out. Duchesne up to 34 miles an hour, but look at Helper. They had wind gusts of 56 miles an hour. Manila up at Flaming Gorge 61 miles an hour. Price almost 50 miles an hour. Rock Springs 46. And Vernal did have a wind gust of 53 miles per hour today. So here's the forecast. We're going to walk you through it. It's pretty quiet tonight, although Price has still got a little bit of a 16 mile an hour wind there. But this is tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Good situation has developed for tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, yes, it gets a little strong again, but not, look at this, 10, 5, 12, nothing like we saw today. The strongest winds are over in Nevada. And then we move forward to Thursday morning, very calm again. So they should be able to get a handle in the fire in the overnight hours for the next 2 nights at least. And the temperatures will start to climb, though. We do have a heat wave on tap. As the winds die down, the temperatures are going to climb, and we may start to see a little moisture in our forecast coming next week. This is a satellite picture of the Dollar Ridge fire, and you can just see that smoke plume. In the afternoons, it builds up the most, and it's kind of split. It looks like it might be split into 2 separate fires, but they'll get a better handle on that tomorrow. This the stationary front is going to just kind of fizzle out. In fact, we'll show you that. It fizzles out, and then we start to see just a beautiful weather pattern. We'll start to see a little moisture maybe sneaking up from the south. That would be nice, maybe get a few rain showers, but it doesn't look like we're going to see any rain until possibly Sunday or Monday. So 4th of July is going to be sunny, hot. It's going to feel like the 4th of July, but please be careful with the fireworks. We've said that over and over and over again. And let's have a little fun. Bear Lake 85, East Canyon 91, Pineview 93. Lots of sunshine in every place you go tomorrow. Should be lots of sunshine, except maybe a few clouds around Strawberry Reservoir and some smoke. Flaming Gorge 90 degrees, Starvation 94. And as we move into Fish Lake down in central Utah, perfect weather, sunshine, lots of 90s and 80s. Fish Lake 83, that's pretty warm for those folks. Lake Powell, though, will be 100 degrees. Cedar Break 72, that's a nice cool place to be for your July 4th. A lot of people like to have the cooler weather in the higher elevations. Here's a 7-day forecast. Temperatures up to 109 in St. George as we move into Friday. Saturday we start to back it off again, and Sunday and Monday we could actually see a thunder shower or two. We'll kind of track that as we get a little bit closer. And for Salt Lake City, temperatures in the 90s for the next 2 days. And then we're breaking 100 on Friday. Saturday we're at 100, 99 on Sunday, and we'll add a few storms in the forecast Monday and Tuesday. My guaranteed forecast for tomorrow is 95 degrees. And don't forget, it's the KUTV Pops concert. Today's 47 KUTV Pops concert coming up, and I should have a graphic there for you. You can take that. It's at Bravenel Hall, the 13th and 14th of July. And we will have tickets available here at 2 News and also at Dane's Music. You can pick up your tickets. It's a free concert. And if you don't happen to get a ticket, you can come anyway. There will be a standby line. We've got Joshua Creek with the Choral Arts Society of Utah and the West Valley Symphony.
All right, always a good time, Sterling. Thanks. Up next, U.S. allies are launching their own counter tariffs against America. The latest on the escalating trade dispute and how the White House is defending that move. American allies are launching their own counter tariffs against the U.S. That is after the Trump administration slapped tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Michelle Macaluso has more about the escalating trade dispute and how the administration is now defending that move.
Canada striking back with tariffs on nearly $13 billion worth of American goods on Sunday, taxing U.S. steel and iron and consumer items like ketchup, pizza, and maple syrup. The move comes after the European Union hit back with its own retaliatory tariffs against the U.S. last month, hitting blue jeans, Harley-Davidson motorcycles, and bourbon whiskey.
They're trying to send a political message, clearly, and I think it's something that is not necessarily going to work because you're not going to get bourbon except out of Kentucky.
Mark Lauder, former special assistant to President Trump, says the U.S. has been taken advantage by other countries' unfair trade deals and argues the tariffs will level the playing field.
Our workers, our companies are put at risk to benefit European countries or countries in companies in other countries. It's really a form of welfare. They are supporting their industries, growing their industries at the expense of hurting ours.
But both Democrats and Republicans worry the administration's strategy will cause a trade war.
Steel prices are up, aluminum prices are up, manufacturing costs are up, making us less competitive in the global market. Jobs are being lost. This is not a good situation. It can't go on forever.
The way they appear to be doing this is going to have so many unintended consequences for our small businesses, large businesses, and for our farmers, and ultimately consumers.
Trade disputes continue to escalate. President Trump is threatening to slap tariffs on imported autos and trucks. He believes that it will pressure countries to give the U.S. better trade deals, but automakers are already warning that it will hurt the U.S. economy and cost jobs. In Washington, I'm Michelle Macaluso.
The Utah Jazz inked a couple of point guards today as the offseason continues to go well, but the Summer League is the main attraction for the rest of the week. Jazz rookies taking on Memphis when we're talking sports.
Live from Timberlands, this is Talkin' Sports.
So 3 different players were listed as out for the Jazz Summer League game with the Spurs tonight. One of them was Grayson Allen, and the reason they listed is rest. And I'm not going to overthink this, but maybe it's a good thing tickets are just $8. Grizzlies lighting up the Jazz early. Kobe Simmons queuing up a circus shot here. Memphis builds a 26-point lead, 26 points. Third quarter, Jazz on the comeback trail. George Niang with a dunk. He had 18 points. Jazz down 13 points. And then late in the game, Tony Bradley gets loose for the layup and one. He had 18. The Grizzlies' lead is cut down to 2 points. And then a little over 2 minutes to go, Kendrick Ray cans a jumper. The Jazz come from 26 points down to actually take the lead, 86-85. But Wayne Selden answers this mid-range jumper going down. Grizzlies take the lead right back. Memphis hanging on to beat the Jazz, 95-92 final score. The offseason continues to go well for the Utah Jazz brass, who were able to retain a couple of point guards today. Hal Neto has reportedly agreed to a 2-year deal worth $4.4 million. And big news for Dante Exum, who's getting paid. He signs for another 3 years and $33 million. Both Exum and Neto were restricted free agents this offseason. The news comes on the heels of Derek Favors signing a 2-year deal over the weekend.
Quadrado with it. And the header down. There it is. It's that man again, Thierry Mina.
World Cup is pairing England and Colombia. Colombia's Thierry Mina locks the match at 1 apiece as things go to a shootout, and that's where the Brits get it done. Eric Dyer comes through with a dagger. They win it on penalty kicks 4-3. Next up for England, they get Sweden in the round of 8 on Saturday. We'll do a complete World Cup wrap tonight on Talkin' Sports. Flip the switch to My Utah TV. After the news, we've also got Jake Edmonds one-on-one with Kalane Sitake. This summer marks the 10th anniversary of one of the greatest tennis matches ever played, when Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal fought to the death at the All England Club. And now it's the focus of a Tennis Channel documentary. You can see the 8th and 14th of this month on KJazz. Those Jazz preseason games also on KJazz. Filling you up, lots of programming.
Yeah, so much to talk about tonight and so much excitement in the middle of the summer for the Jazz. This is fun.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? That's a big get for our city, and the fans really validate it when they show up in droves like they have the last 2 nights. So kudos to all you at home.
Good news, and we're keeping a close eye on the weather. It's hot.
Absolutely. We'll have an update for you tomorrow morning.
Have a good night.